Welcome to season 4, issue 3, episode 3. We are here today to talk to Jonathon Saunders and about his Kickstarter, 0 Point Origins. Well, that's the graphic novel in the Kickstarter. So, is there anything I should talk about as well?
Anything coming up?
We've got things coming up as well. After you watch this, tomorrow we've got the Let's Make a Comic Book with Ed. And then Friday night this is the week that we have Drink and Draw. So check that out. But until then, let's go meet Jonathon.
Let's go do it.
Oh, they put me in the wrong place.
Let's do a shuffle around. Hello. Thank you so much for being on the show, Jonathon. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on. We are super excited. I got a little gift in the mail from yours truly. Thank you so much for sending these through. I had the absolute pleasure of not reading just one, not two, but 3 of your comics, and I'm super excited to talk all things 0 Point. Firstly, can you talk a little bit about yourself? Give us a little bit of a spiel of who you are as a creator.
Yeah, so I'm a Darwin-based illustrator and 2D animator. I've been making comics probably since 2014. The first comic I ever made was part of the Bart Kira project, which was like a mix of Akira and The Simpsons, done by the wonderful cartoonist James Harvey. So that dipped my toes into that, and then I started to make my first webcomic, Astounding Tales of Hero Fiction, which was the first introduction of the characters 0 Point, Ran, Wing Commander, and the crew from AFCO. And I've been doing that ever since. And also, as I said, I'm a 2D animator as well. I'm the director and creator of the animated web series 0 Point Season 0, which you can watch on our YouTube. And as I said, did some work with Studio Ghibli for a couple of years. And there's the DVD for the Kickstarter.
That is so cool.
Amazing. It sounds like you've got such a huge background and you're like a jack of all trades, really. And it's also really cool to know that you're from the Northern Territory. When I was reading 0 Point, I read some of your backstory, a little bit about you, and I found out that you're from Northern Territory, and I was super excited because I myself grew up in the Northern Territory for 4 years, just out of Humpty Doo. I was super stoked to get you on board and talk about your amazing comic. And speaking of the comic, 0 Point, can you give us like a little bit of like a elevator pitch of what it's about?
So 0 Point is I guess you could say, gritty action thriller, set in the world of Australian superheroes. It follows Kyle Burton, a former Australian commando who, during a mission gone wrong in East Timor, awakens his 0 Point energy manipulation abilities. So 0 Point Origins, looks at, Kyle as he goes on his journey to learn not only, where he got his powers and the fact that he is the estranged son of a famed Australian superhero in the 80s called 0 Point. He, discovers, learns more about his powers and his place within the world of Australian superheroes, and eventually uncovering, a possible conspiracy, but that's later down the line for another story. So I guess you could say, so it's a mixture of, I guess Dragon Ball, Watchmen, and a bit of Tom Clancy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was an absolute pleasure reading the first 3. I can't wait to read more. And speaking of more, I hear that today is a special day. Is that correct?
Yes. So we today have just launched the Kickstarter for 0 Point Origins, the graphic novel, which collects not only the first 3 issues of 0 Point that is out, but also the 4th issue. So it is a complete bundle graphic novel of 0 Point's journey from start to finish. and it also includes some, you know, really great little goodies. You just saw before was the DVD and graphic novel bundle. So, as I said before, I'm an animator, and back in 2018 did a web series which, you know, featured the characters, and Mark Cole Smith was the voice of 0 Point, and Stephen Oliver, that wonderful guy from Black Comedy, was the voice of our villain Samson. So you get, if you want to see 0 Point in action, check that out on 0-point.tv, or just search 0 Point Season 0 on YouTube. But as part of one of our Kickstarter bundles, you can get the 0 Point origin graphic novel and the DVD to go with it. So once you've read the graphic novel, you can pop on the DVD and see what happens next in the story.
That is
Well, I know
awesome.
what's happening with me. I'm changing my pledge level as soon as this finishes.
I think that's awesome. I think there's like such a there's so many different levels that you've incorporated, and the fact that you're an animator, I think, is just like helped you to like make so much more depth in your project. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like animation is like, you know, a great love of mine, and well, one of the issues is you do hours of work for seconds of animation. So that's why I really chose comics to you know, further explore, you know, those characters I presented in 0 Point Season 0, and also again with Season 0, it started right in the middle of the story where 0 Point's already superhero working for AFCO, the Australian Federal Extra-Normal Civil Operatives, which is the Australian government group in the world of 0 Point. So this comic book not only is a great launching point for new readers or new people wanting to get into 0 Point, it explains, you know, how he got there, and you know, yeah, just his origins, and you know, how Carl thinks and feels, and yeah, just as I said, it's a great jumping off point for, you know, the series going forward, of course. And as I said, it's something I feel unique in the world of you know, Australian comic books, really, especially since as far as I know, it's the first only Northern Territory based superhero comic, and as I said, the character himself is from the NT. So yeah, as I said, it's I hope it's something that you know, people haven't really seen before.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's a really good thing that you touched on, that like having a Northern Territory character and having so much representation, and even also being an Indigenous character as well. I think that was fantastic to see, and it really drew me in instantly. It's really nice to see like Australian representation in comics. I think it's just fantastic to see. And speaking of, like, you said that you were really influenced by animation, and animation's a really big passion of yours. I couldn't help but notice that in your art style, I got like a hint of like anime, manga. Can you touch on if that was an inspiration in your art style?
So obviously, a big influence for me in terms of the art style was Akira Toriyama, who, as I'm sure your video viewers know, sadly passed away last week. He was very much a big influence in the style, not only in the look, but also just, you know, he was an amazing artist when it came to actually panel by panel layout and action scenes. Like if you have the Mount Rushmore of you know, action comics, I think Toriyama would be up there with Kirby and Ditko. Personally, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And of course, when 0 Point uses a 0 Point energy powers, his hair changes color. So you can, I think people can get that.
Yes. I wondered about that, and I was like, I'm getting major Dragon Ball Z vibes reading this. It's awesome.
Yeah, and also Otomo Katsuhiro, you know, the author of Akira. He was another big influence, especially when it came to those, you know, the comics. Even though it's I'm from the Northern Territory, I wanted to set it in Melbourne just so you can get those, you know, wonderful cityscapes, and I feel superheroes work best in those kind of, you know, those with those towering skyscrapers and you know, alleyways.
Yeah.
And and also David Mazzucchelli was a big influence as well. Also Steve Rude, and of course, you know, Frank Miller as well. You know, not only in the art style but also the writing as well. So again, it's a hodgepodge of everything I love, you know, in comics in the East and West.
Absolutely. No, it was fantastic to read. And also your color. Everyone who knows me, I am a absolute fiend for color. And the colors that you incorporate in your comic are phenomenal. And it's just so, and you apply them really well in your fight sequences. It's just like an explosion of color. And I think that like pairs really well with the type of genre that you're going for, I think. And also to pair with your character too. I think that really, really empowers him in a really, really fantastic way.
I think, I was going to say, for the colors, I guess it really came about because I always felt a bit not confident with my coloring style. So I felt that, so in a way, it was kind of done limitation-wise, but also because I love how comics were colored, you know, pre-1990s, before computer coloring came about. When I was still CMYK process. So I used the maximum amount of colors that were available, like I think it was 320. So it not only makes it, you know, a throwback to the kind of stuff I loved, but also just it also makes you think creatively about how to use it smartly. Because if you don't have a million colors, you have to be smart. And as I said, it just helps to, I guess, you know, for me, it wasn't about making something look realistic, but making it invoke a certain emotion, or making sure it was what's on screen is communicated clearly, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely understand where you're coming from, because I had the same issue with my own comic. And so it's really cool to see people doing similar things with those color schemes and really utilizing them, I think. You don't always see so much of them, but when you do see them, it's always so fantastic to see. But having said that, I'm now seeing a few pictures of the comic as well. Can you tell us a little bit of what inspired this project for you?
Yeah, as I said, it was, you know, creation of 0 Point. It started way back. I created the character way back when I was studying Bachelor in Visual Arts at university, way back in, like, you know, the mid 2000s. And I saw at the time, you know, that wonderful and very controversial Indigenous Queensland artist, Richard Bell, had done his works. I believe they were from the Nowhere Man series. Maybe I'm butchering the name. But in it, he took those famous Roy Lichtenstein pieces, the very iconic comic book kind of stuff. And in it, he, you know, in his cheeky way, changed it so that the main character was an urban Indigenous man. And it was commenting on, you know, the arts, the Indigenous art world at the time. And really, it was probably the first time I'd really seen, like I'd seen Indigenous characters in, you know, comics before, but it was always that kind of, that Dreamtime warrior kind of look, you know, kind of like what you'd see with, you know, Gateway from the X-Men, like, you know, the elderly man in touch with the Dreamtime. You know, nothing wrong with that. That look that obviously came about because of, because what you'd see in, you know, television, and also, you know, I guess some of that was probably inspired by the great Indigenous warrior here, Nimuluk. But again, it was like, you know, it was a bit stereotypical, and it was like the only real type of character you'd see. But seeing a regular bloke like me, who happened to be a black fella, I was like in that classic style of, like, you know, I think those Lichtenstein pieces were ripping off John Romita Sr. So seeing that in the classic American style, I was like, oh, cool. And I thought, oh, okay, and it kind of made me think about what I loved about comics, and just created the character and used him in stencils along with the character Rand, the vigilante, and from there I, you know, used 0 Point in a lot of artworks. And it was after I did stuff in the Bart Kira project, I was like, maybe maybe I should actually make a comic. And that's what I did, Astounding Tales of Hero Fiction.
Yeah, amazing. That's so cool to hear that it's like it spans that long since all that time. I think that's really awesome to hear that projects have like lasted that long and have like come so far. It's really cool to hear like background stories of those kinds of projects. Having said that, I know that you said that this stemmed from kind of like back when you were in university. I'm assuming that you probably were drawing before that. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. I was like, you know, drawing since I was like, you know, 10, and as I said, always had that love for drawing and wanting to do animation, and then like seeing, watching Dragon Ball for the first time in like 1997 on Cartoon Network, really opened it up. And then that led me to watching other things like on SBS, like, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Bubblegum Crisis 2024 or 2042. It's the newer one. Then obviously there was a time when, DVDs and was just like still brand new. So Madman Entertainment just like had a whole wonderful catalog of stuff they got from Manga Entertainment. And as I said, and also from SBS, and also back then there was a cable channel that was exclusively running stuff from like, 1990s and 1980s anime and stuff like at 12 o'clock, at midnight runnings of that, and just absorbing all of that and seeing what can be done with, animation. But also, like I loved superhero comics, as well since I was a kid, growing up with Phantom, of course, and Mad Magazine. And then it wasn't until when I was, 16, had my own car, that I could actually go to the local comic book shop. You probably remember it, Comics NT, which is now Stone Monkey. So I just would, whatever money I had, would just buy comics. Obviously, big influence comic book wise would be the works of Frank Miller, Alan Moore, and just really into Green Lantern as well. So you can see a bit of that in Carl's design as well.
Yeah.
And as I said, taking all of that and then just crushing it into making 0 Point.
Yeah. And I always kind of say, like artists, like ourselves as artists, are kind of like sieves. We see all these amazing things, and we kind of take like little bits of inspiration and then kind of make our own kind of unique thing with it. So it's really cool to hear that that's similar kind of process with yourself. So I guess it kind of leads me on to my next question. Like, what would you say are some of your strengths when creating?
Some of my strengths. That's going to be a hard one because I don't want to sound too.
It'll balance it out with the next question. Let's say.
The next question will balance.
I think I'd like to think when it comes to paneling, page layouts, and also action scenes, I like to think I'm pretty good at that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Some of those action sequences are just phenomenal. That was really cool to see, and just it draws you in instantly. Absolutely, I guess. And to like pair with it, what would you say are some skills that you're currently working on?
So I guess probably a big one for this project. As I said, coloring was always a bit of a, I don't know. Some people say they like my coloring, but I always felt a bit, I don't know. Always wanted to improve it, so working on that, and also just really, once I finished the 0 Point origin graphic novel, I just want to go back and do some study up on figure work and background work, just because when I'm working on the comics, it just focuses purely on that, so I don't get a chance to just draw for pleasure and just for study. So whenever I finish, a chapter of 0 Point, it's like, now I can actually just do some fun sketches and just learn and, improve my craft. And then that obviously helps for the next issue. But also one thing I want to do that's not comic related is just learn about 3D modeling. Just so, again, because I'm an animator and I want to, use Blender's, capabilities for like animations I want to work on, and also might help it's a good skill to have, I think, in this in the animation and illustration industry, I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a versatile skill, that's for sure, as we move into like more 3D needed skills, I guess, so to speak, in the industry. That's really awesome to hear, like that you're working on so many different skills and you're so well versed at many different skills. I think that's really cool to see, especially as a comic creator as well. Very refreshing. So I guess seeing 0 Point, I guess if I'm correct in saying, is it all digitally done or?
Oh yeah. It's digitally done, but I very much tried to make it look like it was done, done pre 1992 in terms of coloring and its look. I was going to say, I don't have an issue copy with me here, but if you wanted to, if you could, I don't know if you can zoom in, but
I can't, unfortunately. I wish I could.
Oh well, for the viewers, just pause and zoom in. And also, you can see my artwork up on my Instagram on Jonathon Saunders illustration. But I try and make the line work a bit scuffed, because one thing that you get in digital printing that you don't, or digital coloring that you don't get in real life, coloring is pure blacks, like the blacks are crushed, while in analog books. Show an example. Actually, that's probably not a good example because it was all Stuart Immerman's Secret Identity. It was all done digitally. But when you print something on the page, it's not going to be pure black because obviously paper absorbs the ink and other little mechanical processes.
Yeah.
Originally, I was going to try and I got the ability on Clip Studio Paint, which is what I use to make comics. I got the pack from the I've forgotten I think it's called not Craftwork, but it's a pack you can find where you can actually emulate the CMYK color process of how comics, so you get the little Ben-Day dots. And I wanted to do coloring that way, but the thing is you actually have to do the coloring exactly how they did mechanically. So you have to go through their little catalog, find, like, you have the color swatches, and then it'll tell you what mixture of colors make that color. So then you go into the layer for cyan, I should say, select that level of dot density, color that in, then go to the layer for magenta, select that color of dot density, color that in, and then it takes. I save that for one-off covers and stuff, but it's really time consuming, but it looks really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. That's really awesome to hear that process. So I know that you have produced 0 Point digitally. Would you say it's your favorite medium?
You mean just comics, or using
just in general? Do you prefer drawing digitally or traditionally, would you say?
I haven't drawn traditionally in a while. I switched to digitally because as you know, one of the, I don't want to say it's an issue, but when you draw traditionally, it takes up physical space, while when you draw digitally, it just takes up hard drive space. If I made 0 Points traditionally, I would have a huge stack of paper I've got to fit somewhere in my already crowded room. But the benefit is that you can then sell those pages off to buyers.
Yes.
So it could be, I don't know, I'd like to actually do that, to do maybe the layouts digitally, then print it up and on Bristol board, and then ink it traditionally. But I do because I used to be a stencil artist and still did some stencil art recently. I do like that process of using paper, and a few times when my computer doesn't work and I need to draw something, I just get my drawing book and texture pen and just do that, and it's nice. It's just that one of the benefits digitally is that making corrections, and sometimes when I've gone back to traditional things, I've drawn something and I want to get closer, and then I try and zoom it in.
I've done that too. Where's the Control Z at? But I guess it comes down to the convenience and mobility as well. You can take, I don't know about yourself, but I've got an iPad and I'm able to take that wherever I am on the go and whatnot. So I definitely get it. Yeah, but there is some sort of magic about traditional, I won't lie.
They both have
people who do that.
Benefits and disadvantages. As I said, definitely would like to do that, make a comic using traditional methods, and as I said, then it's something for buyers to get if they want a great piece of artwork, because God knows I've looked at some of the stuff that Frank Miller would auction off, and I'm like, God, that would look really great, but it's so expensive. But that's probably a good thing for Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess if anybody else, I know that Dave Dye just said that he has a very similar process that he made in his latest Tales comic. I think, Shane just popped it up. So that's really cool. If anybody does have questions in the comments, make sure to shout out. It's always good to continue the conversation. But I guess that kind of moves us on to our next part of the show, and that is more of the nitty-gritty stuff about 0 Point. So exactly how long would you say that this has taken, would you say?
Oh, God. Geez, that's maybe I don't want to think about it. God, I think because I did originally 0 Point Origin was literally going to be that first issue you got. It was like, a 2-issue kind of miniseries, and it would end while Carl gets his powers. But people really liked it, and Tim suggested, the co-creator of Wild North Comics and co-editor said, "Oh, just continue it up until start of the web series," and I did. Probably a couple of years, and it's like something like I think I don't want to think how many pages.
It goes to show how much dedication that I guess.
Yeah, it's 140 pages around about. So yeah, that's quite a lot. Yeah.
That is incredible.
And I was doing this like in between, my day job. Back when I first did, first part, I was still at, doing work with a Indigenous peak body supporting art centers across the top end, and then I was doing that, when I was working remotely for Studio Gillet, doing animation for them. So I'd do this at night after I'd done my day job. So you can probably, that's probably why I've got bags under my arm. You can sacrifice sleep. I'm sure a lot of the creators in chat, can testify to that.
Sleep is overrated.
I think that's super. Like, that is such a credit to you. I think something really admirable. I guess a lot of artists go through the same kind of thing, but it just goes to show how much passion really do have for the process.
Yeah, that's it. Dave said it's True Grit Texture Supply have done that.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're the guys that I used. They got a great. You can get their texture and color pack for Clip Studio and Procreate. So that's what I use for my colors. They're just great. So
that's awesome.
That's a shout out from me for them.
Nice. I'll have to definitely make sure I'll give it a squeeze. I use Procreate, so it's nice to know that it's also a Procreate option. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. I guess I really want to go into you've said how long it's taken you, which is a very long time and such a huge credit to you. In that time, I was wondering if you can kind of walk us through how you've gotten to this point today, kickstarting your project. What processes have you gone through until now?
Yeah, so I guess you mean just in the creation of it, or just as I said, the first couple of issues I actually wrote the scripts out originally for the next part of the animated web series, which would take place right after season 0, and you'd have a flashback for a few episodes of Kyle in East Timor and how he got his powers. So I did that, I guess you could call it the more DC method, where I took the animation script, broke it up panel by panel, and did it that way. Then afterwards, I did it the more Marvel method, where I wrote a outline for that issue, and then I would go break it down, write a paragraph, what's happening each page. Then I would draw thumbnail out the pages, draw the pages, ink it, and then add the dialogue later, which makes it really great for the action and fight scene stuffs. But one issue of that is sometimes it means you've don't have enough room for speech bubbles unless you want to cover something up. So after that, I then went with a mixture of the two, of the Marvel method and where in the penciling process, I'd actually write this, script out and put the dialogue in to make sure that if I needed to move the art to the side to let it breathe and make room for the speech bubble, it'll be there. But so it would be, as I said, for this, it's a lot using a lot of the Marvel method of outline, then making the artwork, and then going back and doing the adding the dialogue. I wouldn't mind kind of going back to, trying that kind of DC method of the doing full scripts, just because with this, I felt very much, I was flying by the seat of my pants, because I'd finished one issue, rest, get on with life, and then to be like, oh yeah, we gotta release the next, issue of Wild North Comics, because originally 0 Point Origins appeared in the Wild North Comics anthology. I was like, oh
Yep.
crap. So scrap. But again, I always kind of had a where the end point for Origins would end, so it was kind of easy to squeeze that in.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool to hear that you've tried so many different processes in like creating your comic. I think that's really, really cool to hear, and see which ones you like and see which ones you don't like. I think that's really inspirational and very encouraging to hear. I feel, as a creator myself, I'm not sure if anybody else in the comments feel the same way, but it's always nice to know that other people have tried different methods, and that I guess us creators can too. You don't have to stick to one true path of creating.
Yeah.
I guess that's the whole beauty of it, is that you get to just explore as you go, I guess, and see which ones.
I think, I'd say to any comic creators, just do what works best for you. I feel that a lot of people tend to have these great ideas for making a comic or a graphic novel, and they just get stuck in the idea phase. And I think you should just put it out there, just like put the work, pen to paper, or stylus to screen, and just go from there, because it's better to have something that's because like when I first did Astounding Tales of Eurofiction, again, I just went at it, learning as I went, and while I can't look at the artwork now, it's like a lot of people still buy it off wildnorthcomics.com, which is our site where we sell all of our comics. There's still quite a there's still an audience for that.
Absolutely.
And it's just more, again, just saying that you're going to learn as you do it, so just don't be afraid of failure, not failure, but making mistakes, looking ugly. Just put it out there, and it's
exactly.
You grow as you do it.
Absolutely. And I think we've actually got a question coming in.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one.
Productions. I think it's just come in. So it's a question for Jonathan, I believe. Is it good to have a deadline and an editor on your back, John?
Yes. It certainly has its benefits there, Tim. I think it is good to have those deadlines, because without deadlines, I think I probably fallen. Tim could explain, has a better opinion on that, but I've probably fallen under that trap of a lot of artists, where if there's no deadline, you just spend so much time making one piece of, one page as beautiful as it can be, but you're not going to finish it. And George Lucas had a great quote where he said, films aren't finished, they're just abandoned. And I think comics are like that. Like sometimes you just gotta, having that deadline's good, because it just forces you to actually also be creative as well. Like I think in issue 2, like the fight scene at the end with Bolt, the bad guy 0 Point faces, it would have been like gone on for another a couple of pages, like it was a full fight where in the 7-Eleven. But at that point, I was like, oh god, I just want to. It happens a bit later, but there's Bolt, 0 Point fighting Bolt, and I was just like, oh god, I just want to end this. So I just did the end of the fight, and again, pick up the comic, and you see, but it ended differently than how I envisaged it, and I think because of that, it's actually a stronger finish, I feel.
Wow, that's really interesting to
awesome.
hear, I'd say.
And and then you got the classic story in about when they're filming Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the it was the Indiana Jones and the first one. I was going to say the Last Crusade. That's the last one and the best one still. Where there was going to be an elaborate fight scene with the guy in the market with the sword, but Harrison Ford had diarrhea from the water there, and he just said to Stephen, "Can't I just shoot the guy?" And that's how you got that iconic scene where Harrison shoots the guy.
No
because
way. I had no idea.
yeah, because of real life issues, and it was just not feasible, but it made it better.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful story as well. I guess as our Lord and Savior Bob Ross always says, there's no such thing as mistakes, there's only happy accidents, I guess. So that's another thing. Like, I do work closely with deadlines as an artist myself. I'm not sure if anybody else viewing tonight sees it the same, but even if I do miss those deadlines, I think it helps me progress further than I would have without it. So it doesn't even always mean whether or not you do hit the deadline on the head. It's always just something nice to constantly work towards. And then once you do get there, you've got space to then do another project, I guess, which is kind of nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say that as well to people that are wanting to work in the creative industry, like as an animator, like I had as part of working with a team. Yeah, there were deadlines, and you just have to it's just a reality of working in that field. Like I think that's if you can get a nice balance between having a deadline but also having enough time to make it look as best as you can, then you're golden. But also, deadlines can help you kind of figure out shortcuts that actually make the work better. Yeah,
for sure. And just like with the story that you highlighted before, I think that illustrates that perfectly. And having said that, in the process that you outlined before that question came in, I kind of want to reel back. What was your favorite and your least favorite part of that process, if there was any?
I guess it's that process. I guess probably I wouldn't say not my least favorites, but probably the most. Actually depend. I guess it depends. Like sometimes, just doing the layouts and the penciling is the most draining. I would say not making sure that works, and then when you get to the inking, again, that can feel really just nice and just get into a flow because all the hard work's done. So it's just about making it look nice, and then the coloring. I feel that can get a bit, again, like the layout and penciling. It's the most strenuous because obviously the coloring, it's what the finished page is going to look like. So again, there's a lot of work that goes into that to make sure that it works, that your values are different, so that the background, or the character pops, or you want something in the background to pop, and making sure that all, works together. I guess it depends. Like, there's going to be parts in the comic making process where it's not going to be fun, and you just got to, power through it, and then you get to the fun part. Like, it's like, eating your vegetables and then getting to the fun dessert part. Yeah,
exactly. And I guess the way I see it is I do agree. Like, sometimes things can get quite monotonous when you're doing it, so frequently. But those monotonous tasks really make your favorite bits, which may be the details, the highlights, the publishing, the networking or whatever, just that bit more enjoyable, I'd say, in my own opinion. Yeah. But it's always interesting to see which parts everyone likes, like different creators, because it will always fluctuate from one end of the scale. They really like the technical, the writing aspect more than the art, or sometimes it's vice versa. And it's really interesting to just hear everybody's opinions on what they enjoy doing. It was really interesting to hear, especially the fact that you tried those multiple different processes, and to hear a little bit about what you enjoyed doing the most. Today is your Kickstarter, which is fantastic. Yes. I kind of wanted to ask a little bit, what was the lead up to this Kickstarter? Is it your first Kickstarter? Have you done it in the past?
This is this is actually probably the, I think, third that Wild North Comics has done, but it's my first Kickstarter for my work.
Congratulations!
So, really, as I said, really excited, and as I said, it's like a 140 pages and accumulation of all those a couple of years work. So having it put together in a nice bound book is going to be really great. So just want to say to your viewers to check it out.
Check it out.
So check it out. If there's link there, have a look. As I said, there's some great great, rewards for that. As you showed before, the DVD reward. So, as I said before, 0 Point. Before I did the comic book, I did a animated web series, 0 Point Season 0. So, as part of the DVD and graphic novel bundle, not only will you get the 0 Point graphic novel, you get the Season 0 DVD, which has a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, and also one of the latest animated short films I did, 1 Minute to Midnight, featuring 0 Points. So, as I said, it's a great little extra to have once you finish the graphic novel and want more 0 Points.
I may have just updated my pledge to that already.
There we go.
Awesome. No, that sounds like it must have been such a must be pretty extenuous on you to have made all these tiers. I myself haven't done a Kickstarter before, so it's obvious.
I had the easy part. I gotta obviously thank Timothy Parrish, co-creator of Wild North Comics and co-editor. He was the real brains behind getting that up and running. And as I said, his knowledge of the other Kickstarters was really valuable as well. As I said, this is like the first time I've had my work kickstarted, and as I said, even though it's probably, I think it may be the third or fourth Wild North Comics Kickstarter, it won't be the last Wild North Kickstarter, and hopefully not the last 0 Point Kickstarter.
Nice. Absolutely, let's hope not. But yeah, I guess it must have been quite a process in launching the Kickstarter. And again, I think it's really admirable, and it's really great to see more indie creators get on board and utilizing Kickstarter. It's fantastic to see. And again, so make sure everybody who's watching tonight to make sure you check out the comments in the below the video.
In the comments, and it's also in the description of this video.
Yes, that's correct. So Shane's popped the link in, so make sure you do check him out. And
you can find the link to the Kickstarter on the our socials. So Wild North Comics is on Instagram, Facebook. I also have my own Instagram as well, and I have a link to the Kickstarter there as well. And as I said, if you're in the territory, you're probably going to hear a bit more of me, on radio talking about this. And as I said, I'm really excited for this. And as I said, it's just great to have all of that work collected in one great bundle. And as I said, we've got great little rewards as well, like art prints as well that'll be signed by me, and stencil work as well, where I kind of go back to my uni days, creating spray paint stencils. So definitely back that.
Awesome. Yes.
If you want a unique piece of 0 Point art.
Absolutely. It sounds like you definitely should be excited for this. It sounds like you put so much effort into it, and it's really, really, it definitely shows. So it's really fantastic to see your Kickstarter going so well. I guess this kind of leads us on to our third and final part of the interview. So these are some of the questions that I really personally enjoy asking some of our guests, and it's a little bit about the Australian indie comic scene. So I guess first and foremost, are there any projects on the horizon in the future other than
there's I definitely want to, obviously 0 Point's going to be the main series I'm probably going to be known for, and obviously want to do the next series. But before then, one project is a possible comic about the Indigenous famed Indigenous warrior Nimuluk. That's on the horizon. One I'd like to maybe go back to one of the first comic I did for Wild North Comics, the Bush Ranger. I did that actually after the 0 Point Season 0 stuff. I'd gotten a bit of sick of tights, so I went for did a more spaghetti Western style stuff, looking at part of Australian history, frontier history that no one knows about, regarding the Indigenous Bush Police. I'd like to, do another short animated film, more of a sci-fi one, just because, again, I love 0 Point, but after a while, I get really sick of drawing tights and capes and things, and I just want to give my brain something else to do.
Absolutely.
And of course, yeah.
I think we all get to that point, yeah.
Yeah. And also, one of the books as part of Wild North Comics lineup, Australia by Timothy Wood. We're hopefully working on a possible animated series for that. So I'd be a writer for that. Again, that's still very, very early days, but so looking forward to, a lot of things, not just in comics, but animation as well. And also Wild North Comics is, definitely looking to, expand. We've got we've got a Wild North Comic Con coming up in July. And as I said, looking to expand, because you started off just doing NT-based artists and writers. We now got a lot of international talent. And the last issue we had national talent. It's the last issue we had an international talent from the Philippines. And who knows, maybe, maybe we'll get, Wild North Comics will be Wild Northern Hemisphere Comics or something.
That would be awesome to see. That would be fantastic to see. I guess continuing on, I've got 3 in my hot little hands here, 0 Point Origins. And I want to ask you, I know it's like kind of picking like a favorite child, but was so far, has there been like a real moment or a particular issue that you really enjoyed working on thus far?
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, probably the last issue 3, because it brings in a lot of characters from the animated web series like Magnus and Wing Commander and AFCO. And you got a bit of early bird cameos by AC/DC and Hugh Yee. But also, I'm really enjoying working on the last final issue, issue 4, just because, again, you're tying everything that I set up in those first 3 issues, and then just coming together and tying it all up in a nice bow, really, and launching off for the next series. Because one thing I feel that's really important, when making graphic novels or what makes a graphic novel or a series is having a, beginning, middle, and end. Oh, sorry, I'm just in an interview. Sorry.
That's fantastic. I'm always so curious to see or hear about some of the favorite points in projects. So it's really fantastic to hear that the one that you're currently working on is something that you're really enjoying at the moment. So yeah, that's awesome to hear, and I can't wait to see or read the 4th one.
Yes.
I guess moving on to a little bit more the questions that I feel like can benefit our viewers tonight as well, if you are creators viewing tonight. I always love hearing these questions, these answers, I should say. Do you ever struggle with creative block? And if so, how do you overcome?
Yeah, I guess, I think everyone gets creative block. It's just, I think it's more of a, just trying to think. I think just not powering through it, but yeah, I do get it. But one of the things, as Timothy said in an earlier comment, having that deadline really helps, because you can't. You just gotta do the work, because you can't just wallow in wallow in self-pity and woes me. I can't do drawing. It's like, nope, I gotta have those pages in by this date. I think just maybe change up what you're doing. Maybe like again, if you're like struggling with the I guess the penciling side of things, maybe taking a break from that and then coloring or inking another part of the comic, just so it
Yeah, like switching it up. Yeah, absolutely. No,
Makes
I think
sense.
that's like really valuable information, especially as AusComX, the brand that Shane has created. It's always great to share these tips and tricks with like-minded people in this community. So it's always fantastic to hear people who are doing amazing things hear about what they do to overcome some of these things. Going on with that theme, this is probably one of my favorite question to ask, which is, what do you wish someone had told you before you had started your comic journey?
I guess, well, obviously the joke answer is don't do it. But I guess just don't be, maybe I would have started my journey sooner if I didn't feel like I was holding back on, my art's not at that level yet, or, my coloring or writing's not at that level, and just jump into it. But also just think about, I guess just really kind of, because as I said, a lot of the stuff was more, as I said, with the last few issues, it was like writing by the seat of my pants, still having that, had that structure there. Just kind of that good writing. What is it? Good writing is good rewriting. So just keep writing, and because even doing this issue now and the previous issue, a lot of times I'll just keep changing, rereading the dialogue. That's the other thing. Just read what you're written out loud, because what looks good on the page might not make any sense if someone reads it out. And even now, there are some things I look back at the other issue and it's like, maybe I could have said this in instead of saying this in 5 words, I could have just said it in 2, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of like going on what you said about overcoming creative block with deadlines. But you've really just kind of just do it. That's caution to the wind and just go for it, kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's awesome. I think that's definitely something that I would agree with too. I definitely wish I'd started my projects a lot sooner too. And I think that's definitely something valuable that a lot of people can probably take on board. So it's always awesome to hear stuff like that. I guess, is there an ultimate goal in your creative career, I guess? Do you know?
Oh yeah, the ultimate goal would just be to tell finish the series start to finish. That's the ultimate goal, but also so that's for 0 Point. Do more animation, like an actual full-blown animated series, not just 0 Point, but just in general. And again, maybe just again, this is probably more of an NC-based thing, but put something in the Toaster Art Award. People keep saying, "Oh, when are you going to put something in?" And I keep, I'm busy with the comic stuff, so maybe when I'm finished with the comic stuff, I actually have some time to make some regular art.
I think that's definitely a good sign that people are urging you to submit something. So, best of luck with that. I'll definitely be watching, that's for sure. I guess moving into more of the indie scene, what would be something that you think the indie comic scene needs more of, would you say?
I think the Australian indie comic scene, I feel that, again, maybe it's just because I'm here in the Northern Territory, I feel that it's probably very atomized, that, everyone's off doing their own little thing. So I definitely think that, maybe an Australian version of Diamond, where, distributing Australian comics, not only to comic book shops, but to local supermarkets. And, one thing I remember growing up is that they had Phantom and Mad magazine at the local supermarkets and gas stations. So looking at, expanding into those areas, I definitely feel that would be, very beneficial to the indie comic scene.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic to see as well. I definitely agree with you there. And I think, as someone who also grew up in Darwin, I think that would be awesome to see too. Seeing more of that when I was growing up there too. I think that would be fantastic to see more and see it come back to as well.
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
What do you think the Aussie comic scene does well then?
Yeah, I think probably the Australian comic scene has a bit more. I guess again, maybe I don't know much about the American indie comic scene apart from what I occasionally get, but I'd like to think that the Australian indie comic scene has a bit more bite to it. Again, some the stuff back when I would travel to Melbourne to work, I'd always swing by Minotaur and pick up the Aussie comics they had there, and again, some of it was just really out there stuff. So I think when it comes to that, Australians are really great at those really far out stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've definitely got a very huge variety of indie comics, and it definitely shows when we bring so many amazing, wonderful guests like yourself onto the show, and they showcase some of their artwork. We have such a variety that come up on the show, and it's not just this show; it's all the other shows that Shane runs. Be it Chinwag on the Tuesdays with
Lee Chalker.
Lee, Mitchell, yes.
You're having a Shane moment.
I was. And making comics as well, another one. And
Yes.
at the end of the week with the drink and draw as well with Spedsy. I think it's really awesome to see such a variety come onto the show and showcase their work. So it's always great to see. I guess more for some people that are viewing tonight, perhaps starting their journey, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I guess as I said probably earlier in the stream, just jump in. Don't, if you're just being held back because you feel your drawing isn't enough, you're not good enough drawer, you're not a good enough writer, not a good enough colorist, I wouldn't worry about that because you learn those skills as you make the comics. So just jump in, and as I said, I think it's probably easier than it has ever been, to make comics because you've got so many avenues now to share your work on social media. And because this didn't exist back, when I was a kid. Like, if you wanted to find Australian homegrown superhero comics, you'd have to hope that there would be an issue of like Southern Cross in the local comic book store. But now you can actually just go online. There's find so many great creators and stories out there. So yeah, just to steal a phrase from Nike, just do it.
I was just thinking that. I was literally just
thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing. Now we have a very random question. It couldn't be aimed at you directly or anything.
Ooh. Tell us more.
Oh, in June. Actually, yeah, no, Tim would probably ask that question, would know more about that. But we've got that again. I probably said the wrong date, but we've got the Wild North Comic Con happening in June. So we've got, which will be held, if you're in the Darwin Northern Territory, we held at the Brownsmart Theatre. And it'll be, as I said, there'll be stores where, artists from, all over Australia will be, who've featured in Wild North Comics will, have stores there selling their wares, but we also have, film night, and also we'll have Mark Goldsmith coming up as well. And as I said, we'll have the fourth issue of 0 Points Origins out as well, and also the books as well, hopefully. But it's a big event, and as I said, I'll just getting the dates for that, because as I said, we want as more, the more people that come to that, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's super exciting. I'm so glad that question was asked as well from the comments, because that's actually one of my questions as well. What are some of the events that you are going to? So yeah, that couldn't have come at a better time.
So as I said, definitely all the they're still organizing the event as well, but it will be, again, the Wild North Comic Con will be happening in June, and it'll as a great showcase of not only Northern Territory talent but also the talent of we've also got the creator of as I said, we have an Indonesian artist, do their story Rock Car. They'll be coming up for this event as well. So as I said,
cool.
hopefully that might be the start of the international side of things.
Absolutely. That'd be super exciting. That's awesome to hear. And I guess a perfect way to wrap up this entire show. Thank you again for being on the show. And a little bit louder for those in the back. Where can we see more of your work, and what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, so if you want to see not only more of my work, but also the other work of, the great books from Wild North Comics, go to wildnorthcomics.com, where you can buy, it's all one word, wildnorthcomics.com, where you can buy, what's all the 0 points that are out right now, but also other great works like, Future Tales, Australia, the Wild North Comics anthology series, and as I said, we should have Dead City Lullabies there as well. Yep, there's the link there. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and more importantly, you can follow what I'm doing currently with 0 Points Origins on Kickstarter. The link is still there, so check that out. Back that. There's many different rewards. So again, like we've got the if you just want to support the project and have the file on your iPad or something, we've got the digital download option for $15, and the hardcover graphic novel for $40. We also have the Wild North Comics digital bundle, so you grab everything that Wild North has done in the anthology series plus 0 Points Origins, and as I said, then you got the 0 Point Origins DVD and graphic novel bundle. Then you got the Wild North Creators digital bundle. As I said, there's just so many,
lots of things,
so many options there. Like if you want to, not only support my work, but also just get a taste of what else Wild North Comics does. And then you got the 0 Point Art Collector Edition, again, which will feature limited edition art prints at A2 sizes that will be signed by me, and then the Wild North 0 Point stencil original art, where there we go. So those are some of the prints, and as you can see on the left, so you got prints featuring not only 0 Point but the Bush Ranger, Ranger from Bush Ranger Comics, and the guy on the right there is from issue 1. He is an East Timorese superhero, Millennium Star, and it's, as I said, just so many different rewards there. If you want to support this great comic that's coming out, and as I said, hopefully there's something for everyone. So that's the cover. So we're actually going to get that. The hole there you see is actually going to be cut out in the cover.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So so it should look really cool.
Oh wow!
It's as I said, just wanted something a bit more unique in terms of the look for it. So
absolutely, it sounds like you've got an absolute plethora of different tiers and different packages that you can get on Kickstarter. So to everyone watching, make sure you do check out some of those comments that Shane has left in there.
Yeah, and we'll also be doing our own little YouTube series, Wizards of Oz, not the MGM movie, but Oz as in Australian. So keep an eye out for that on YouTube. So it'll be myself, Tim, Phil, and any other creators that are in the territory, and again we just do a examination of our own comics, but also comics we like and that have influenced us.
Cool.
And as I said, we kind of a bit of a podcast, a bit similar to Cartoonist Cafe, where we look at the actual comics as we go through them, and as I said, hopefully it'll give you a better insight about what inspires us up here.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you don't do? It just seems like you've got so many skills and so many projects going on the go. I think it's really admirable. So good on you for doing it. Jonathon, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And again, thank you so much for letting me read a little bit about your amazing story, 0 Point Origins. For everyone, again, louder in the back, go and support Jonathon's Kickstarter. Go check out his work. But otherwise, we shall love you and leave you. Thank you again for watching, everyone. Yeah.
And I'll just...
Oh, yes, one last thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, there's links in the comments, there's links in the description. If you're having troubles with those, go to Kickstarter, put in 0 Point Origins. 2 things come up. One of them's to do with stationery, one of them's a comic. So go into the comic, go into the one that's 0 Point.
Yes.
It's got this picture. It's very obvious which one it is.
That's right.
And if you're having troubles with the links, and there you go, you will get to the Kickstarter that way as well. So I just wanted to give that option for anyone who's having troubles.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shane. And thank you, Jonathon. Thanks for everyone for watching. And I guess we will see you next week. Is that correct, Shane? Next week? Are we
next
on
fortnight.
Next fortnight. Sorry, my apologies. Yes,
Yep.
Next fortnight we'll see you. But otherwise, you can catch some of the other shows that will be airing this week, including Drink and Draw.
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Cool. Night all.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jonathon. Thank you, Shaden.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
See ya.
Check out comex.cx for all things comics and find out what comics is all about. We hope you enjoy